Well, friends, we continue on with this book, The Salamander at the Manger. And today we're going to hear about the elephant who found his way. A few days of quiet passed at the little stable in Bethlehem. Underneath the manger, the chipmunk had built itself a cozy burrow. High in the rafters, Esme, the spider, wove beautiful patterns. In the evenings, the moose angled his antlers through the large window to tell stories. Coraline, the capybara, looked around the stable, happy to be part of this unique family. And the cow, with the crooked horn, still in charge, reflected on the busy miracles of the past few days. The unicorn with the golden horn watched over it all and smiled. The shepherds had taken their sheep back to the pastures. The magi had come and gone as well. Mary, Joseph, and the child had departed on their way to Egypt. The animals who remained in the stable settled into a new rhythm together. For a while, the star remained overhead, so people continued to visit the stable to see where Christ had been born. The cow was kept busy lining up the animals for their Christmas card moment in front of the visitors. The stable animals smiled to one another and adjusted themselves accordingly. The unicorn gave her a gentle nudge with his horn when the cow's need for perfection threatened the other animals. One quiet evening, an old elephant named Alexander came slowly up the hill toward the stable. He was an enormous animal, and he walked with majestic grace. Alexander had lived a long life, and his eyes held both sadness and wisdom. He had been born deep in a tropical forest, part of a herd of elephants that carried logs of teak wood for local villagers. The villagers were kind, and the work was satisfying. One afternoon, while Alexander was still young, the herd's work was finished, and they were relaxing in the river when a strange group of elephants arrived carrying large canopied litters on their back. Under the canopies were men in rich clothes and elegant turbans. The men riding the elephants commanded them to kneel, and when they did, the men dismounted. There was some discussion between the men and the villagers. Then the villagers called Alexander and several other young male elephants together, and they were sent away with the men. Alexander was taught how to walk gently while carrying canopies. He was adorned with rich fabrics, and his tusks were painted and studded with beautiful jewels. These decorations made Alexander hot and uncomfortable in the sun, but he learned to stand patiently in his new attire. When the men were satisfied that Alexander had adapted to his new task, he was assigned to carry royalty from place to place. Sometimes he walked great distances, always keeping his passenger comfortable on his back in their canopied litter. He did not mind this job, but found it less interesting than working in the teak forest. The people Alexander carried were kings who, over time, decided to expand their lands and wealth. The jewels and the rich fabrics disappeared, and heavy leather saddles were placed on the backs of Alexander and other elephants. Metal spikes were put on his tusks, and Alexander became a war elephant who carried men to battle. His great size was intimidating to the opposing armies that he faced. Alexander hated battle. He could not stand to see the death and destruction he was forced to participate in. To him, the fighting was pointless. It seemed the same territory was being fought over repeatedly, with ownership passing from one group to another, depending on whose army won each battle. Every war left people injured or dead, often people who weren't part of the wars. Every battle destroyed towns, fields, and orchards. Many of the other elephants took great pleasure in battle and talked with excitement before and after each conflict. Alexander refused to join the bragging and boasting. He tried to forget the battles and let his mind wander back to his days in the teak forest. He could remember the breeze from the trees, the sound of the river, and the feeling of working with others to accomplish something good. Alexander was aware of the birth of the Christ child. He had seen the great star far away in the night sky. He had overheard the powerful leaders that he carried talk about the child. They wondered aloud about the mysterious meaning of the baby's birth. One day, he even heard rumors of a caravan of sages and mystics that had traveled through the region in the direction of the star. That night, while all the other elephants and their handlers were sleeping, Alexander backed quietly out of the line and left. He walked slowly at first, following the light of the star. With each step, he could feel himself regaining a sense of choice in his life. He flapped his ears in the night breeze and shook his head. Alexander had almost forgotten the feeling of doing what he wanted to do, what he thought was good and right. As the night turned into day and his journey continued, he became more aware of every moment that passed and savored the coolness of the night air and the heat of the day. When he stopped to eat branches or leaves, he enjoyed their freshness. Sometimes Alexander found a melon to eat and delighted in its sweetness. And he paid attention to the ground under his feet, which was sometimes dusty, sometimes grassy, sometimes rocky. Every sensation seemed to wake up his mind. As if from a long sleep, For the first time in years, he felt alive and knew he was moving in the right direction. After many days of walking, he came to the bottom of a hill and saw the star hanging directly over a humble stable. He stopped for a moment, shook off the dust of the road, and breathed deeply. Slowly and majestically, he moved up the hill. As he approached the stable door, the unicorn standing inside smiled to welcome him. From further inside the stable, the cow saw Alexander's shadow and said loudly, "If you think there's room for something that large in this stable, think again." Alexander stopped. His heart sank. The cow's words took him back to that feeling of being controlled by others' commands. Immediately, the unicorn saw how the cow's harsh words affected Alexander. He rose to his feet and walked toward the elephant. With his golden horn, the unicorn gently touched Alexander's trunk. "My friend, for so long you were unable to choose the direction for your life. Now you are on your own path and has brought you to this simple stable. The Christ child who was born here invites us to make choices that fill the world with joy and goodness. We're glad that your journey has brought you here." He sighed gratefully. The cow gave an apologetic nod. "If you stand at the opposite window from the moose, you will balance the Christmas card picture when visitors come to see us." Then she gestured for the capybara and the bear cubs to take a pile of fresh hay to Alexander. "Thank you," the elephant replied. "I would like to remain here a while. Then I will see where my heart takes me and discover how I can help others learn to find their own way again." And the unicorn smiled. Well, God bless you, my friends.